So entonces, primero refugio. So first we'll take refuge. Feel that before us is Guru Vajradhara and Haruka, Yamantaka, all of our deities, Vajra. And feel that we're doing this for more than just ourselves, but for the benefit of all. I go for refuge until I am a Buddha, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, for the virtuous merit that I collect by practicing giving and other perfections in these teachings. May I attain the state of Buddha to be able to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am a Buddha, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, from the virtuous merit I collect by practicing giving and the other perfections and teaching. May I attain the state of Buddha to be able to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm a Buddha, to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. By the virtuous merit I collect by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I attain the state of Buddha to be able to benefit all. Offering a mandala. By directing to the fields of Buddhas, this offering of a mandala, built on a base with flowers, saffron water, and incense, adorned with Mount Meru and the 4 continents, the sun and moon, and all sentient beings being led to these fields. Send forth to me waves of inspiring strength so that after training in the common paths and becoming a proper vessel, I may easily enter into the holy vehicle of those great fortune, the Vajra vehicle, which is the supreme of all vehicles. Yadam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniyartaya. Okay, waiting room. Sorry. Okay. So I'm actually both the host and the teacher, so sometimes I have to add people, so forgive me. So first, these classes are going to be about, these classes are about the Guru Yoga, but what they're really about is the commitments, the promises we make when we took a Tantric initiation. And this applies to Anuttara Yoga, the highest class of Tantra. So when you make a promise, it's important that you keep the things that you promise. For example, if you marry somebody, you promise to be faithful or other things. So in this way, taking a Tantric initiation, which is about our stream of consciousness. Sorry, I'm having to admit people. Which is about our stream of consciousness. It's very important that we have a very good integrity. I'll explain that as I get into talking about refuge, but for right now, we want to make sure that we keep all of our good commitments, okay? Okay, so excuse me, as people keep joining, even if it's a little bit late. All right. So first, the motivation we have is the most important thing. Because it's the creator of who we are. And so therefore, you know, we certainly would like to be more enlightened. That's easy to say, you know, yes, I want to be enlightened. Yes, I'd like to be a wonderful person. But we're really only focused on ourselves. And although that's very good, we can create a much greater impact on ourselves by opening our mind a little bit. So although this isn't the traditional way that the teachers teach, I'd like to invite you to go with these thoughts. Bring to mind someone that you love, and especially if it's a child, a niece or a nephew or your own children, but someone young is the best. Why? Because they're quite innocent. And if we have a relationship with them in love, we'd like to benefit them. That's just so much bodhichitta, that having that sort of thought. So if you go inside and you find someone that you love, and especially if they're young and innocent, you'd like them to benefit, then you bring them to mind and say, okay, I'm attending this teaching for them. There's a whole different feeling that comes up in your body. I'll give you an example. Let's say there's someone that you love and you have to go to the drugstore, and maybe you have to walk because there's no transportation available or something. And so, every step you take, it's not about you, it's about getting this medicine for that person. And so you have a totally different feeling. In fact, even if it was a little bit hard, raining or something, this person I love, I need to get that medicine. And so those types of thoughts are very good to give you a more clear sense of your bodhichitta. So bring to mind someone that you love. I'm attending these teachings on the succession guru yoga for the benefit for that person. You're included. You're going to the drugstore. If you need extra medicine, you get it for yourself. But that way, you're starting to actually generate a greater mind. And that's what bodhicitta is. It's a great mind. Now, having done that, then just say, okay, and for the benefit of family, friends, all sentient beings. And try not to lose the feeling you had. Because we are the accumulation of the karma we have. And although we might say prayers, like I go for Refuge, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha from now into enlightenment, I work for the benefit of all sentient beings. But we say those very quickly. And then sometimes not too much feelings there. And if there's not much feeling, there's not much karma. Whereas if you have a lot of feeling with what you say, the karma is going to be stronger. So touching first someone you love, saying, I'm here in this class for that person. And especially if you love them, you feel joy, which is again, extra karma. Maybe you'd feel joy about yourself attending the teachings, but if you attend with the thought of others, it's much greater. So with that thought then, I'm going to attend the instructions on the succession guru yoga. And I'm sorry, actually, I need to post something here. Let me just go to the chat. Okay. I'm sorry, I've got some chat. Okay, there. Okay, I'm going to post a everyone. Everyone. Okay, sorry. Why is it not letting me pick a thing? Sometimes these things are too crazy. What I want to post is the extensive succession guru yoga, and it somehow is not letting me pick that. So, okay. Oh, there. Okay, now I got it. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I just got to get it so that you all have the same teaching as I do. Okay, so what we're following the here it is, succession guru yoga. Open. Now, if you can't open that, you'll have to send me a private email, and I will send you the link. Okay, so and I'm sending it in Spanish also. It'd be nice if I had an attendant here who would do all of this for me, but I don't. So. I often think that, okay, so I've just posted the Succession Guru Yoga in Spanish and the Succession Guru Yoga in English. It's the extensive one, because that's the basis of the teaching. If you can't receive it, please send me a private email, and my private email is this. So. Okay, so if you can't, but anyway, I won't be able to send it to you until later. Okay, so I was going to say that I sometimes am a little jealous of the, Tibetan lamas, because they always have a large household with lots of attendants. And so, okay, actually, Carlos, I already sent the thing. So Carlos, if the thing, anyway, so I don't have attendance, so I have to do everything myself, which is okay. Good. So, so we have the motivation. Now, first thing I want to touch on is about relationship with the guru. And I think it's really important to clarify, how do we see the guru? There are a lot of different teachings, and I'll give you a good example. In the offerings of the setting up your offering bowls, the 8 bowls of water that you put on your altar or whatever you might do, that there's teachings on that you have to fill them to a certain level. They have to have 1 grain of wheat between each one, a distance, and you have to do all sorts of things. There's these commentaries. So with that, with that, then you supposedly collect lots of good karma. And so someone asked me, he said, well, if I do my altar a little bit wrong, will I take a bad rebirth? And in the teaching, it says, for example, if your bowls are too far apart, you'll be separated from your teacher and things like that. So, if we go back to the time of Buddha Shakyamuni, when he was walking one day with Ananda, his chief disciple, a little boy ran up, took a handful of dirt, and so Buddha leant over, and his bowl was full of his food because he was begging, and the boy dumped the handful of dirt in the Buddha's bowl. And then the boy smiled and was so happy and then ran away. And so Buddha was very polite, no, thank you very much, and then carried on walking. Well, Ananda, he's an arhat, but he freaked out. He goes, oh, that boy, he's going to go to hell for eternity, being born in a brick of mud, because he just put dirt all over the Buddha's food, blah, blah, blah. And the Buddha said, no, that boy in the future will become King Ashoka, and he will rule all of India. And in that little boy's mind, he was thinking, I'm offering gold to the Buddha. And he had a very pure heart, a very pure motivation, and he put the dirt on my food. So if you take that for what it is, that your motivation is the most important thing, the teachings about how you should set up your offering bowls, they're mostly about mindfulness. To be very mindful about how you do things. That you set the bowls very carefully. I remember once Lama Zopa said to me, make an offering like you're offering to the Queen or King of England, because I'm a Canadian, so maybe Queen of England is appropriate. So that comes to mind. So I'm very careful when I offer the thing, because I'm offering it to someone very important. Of course, we're offering it to the Buddha, but in this case, sometimes we can have more relative thoughts that give us some clarity. So in regards to these teachings about the Guru Yoga, I think it's important to put into perspective, like the teachings on how to make offerings with your altar. So all of the instructions on the 50 verses of Guru Yoga, and we're going to cover some of those in these classes, they're very, very important. They're good. There's nothing wrong with them. But when you think about the objective of the teacher is to help us to become more enlightened. That's their role. And even I suffered from a silly mind where I would take teachings from Trichung Rinpoche, one of the tutors of the Dalai Lama that you could visit quite easily, and then teachings from Ling Rinpoche, who was, of course, my main guru, who I really had a lot of devotion to, and he helped me with all of my practices. And then, so when I went to Trichung Rinpoche, I was feeling that I was like committing adultery, that I was being a bad boy or something, because I had Ling Rinpoche. Why would I go to Trichung Rinpoche? And I thought, what am I doing? These two beings are very holy, they will help me become enlightened. So I had to change my mind and not think that Ling Rinpoche possesses me, but rather Ling Rinpoche is trying to help me become more enlightened. And Trichung Rinpoche is trying to help me become more enlightened. And the Dalai Lama is trying to help me become more enlightened. And with that view, you don't have this idea that I'm being unfaithful to one guru when I go with teachers with another guru. And that's really important. The goal of a guru is to help you become enlightened. Now, how much they're involved with you. If you're very close, there's an example that if you're too close to the guru, it's like being close to a fire. You're going to get burned. Or the other example is it's like trying to get milk from a tiger. You have to get very carefully. So being close, very close to the teacher can be quite dangerous because you lose faith. You get burned. If you're too far away from the guru, it's cold. You don't feel the connection. So you need to find that middle distance. So in regards to relationships to the gurus, then have that. Now, one of the things in one of the teachings that is often said is that, may I not even have a small thought of criticism or such about my holy gurus. And if I do, of course, I will go to hell or something like that. It's I think, rather extreme teachings. They fall, excuse me, that you fall in the category of like the offerings. You know, if you don't make the offerings correctly, there'll be a problem. You know, like you'll get a bad rebirth, or you'll be separated from the guru. So it's about mindfulness. So how do you relate to the guru? I like to think of it in a very mundane way. You want to have complete confidence, complete faith in that person. But how do you do that? Well, if you want to buy a house, you need to get a mortgage and you need to go to the bank. You have no doubts that the bank has the money. You have absolutely no doubts they have the money. So when you approach them, the person that's sitting on the other side of the desk who's going to write the contract for you, whether they're fat or they're skinny or they're tall, doesn't matter. They basically have the money and you just have to qualify for it. So when you look at your gurus, you look at them with it, they are, you know, the three qualities of a Buddha. They are all loving, they are all, you know, all wise, and they have perfect self-control, they have personal power. So that, or you would look at them that they really have bodhichitta. Really their heart is open. Really they have realized voidness. They can take their consciousness and go to the clear light. Or, you know, we're in Mahayana, we're in the Tantric vehicle of Anantara Yoga. Well, we talk always about clear light, Buddha nature, the voidness, they're synonyms. So when you look at the guru with that mind, you don't worry whether they're fat or short or skinny or tall or they fart or whatever they do. You see them as having these abilities. And in that way, you know, you great confidence. Yeah, I mean, you have a very much more stable mind rather than saying, I have to see this person as the Buddha. You know, like they're an ordinary person. I mean, I was looking at, for example, some of my friends who are of equal age to me, where I'm more than 50 years in Buddhism, that, you know, they wear some little Tibetan robe or something like that, which is good. I mean, it has meaning. And I don't do that. I dress like a Western person. Just my personal choice. I don't feel I need to put myself on this sort of pedestal. You know, I'm a fully qualified Tantric guru. I have certification from the Dalai Lama. Can't get better than that. But, you know, I don't need to put on like airs about myself. So if you see, for example, me as having some realization, that's your blessing. When I used to go to Ling Rinpoche and Tricha Rinpoche, I didn't, you know, Ling Rinpoche was a little bit fat and Tricha Rinpoche was old and sort of a bit shaky. I didn't see that. I only saw a being who had all the realizations that I would wish to attain and, you know, with great feelings and great faith. So I just share that in that there are a lot of instructions out there. And if we had a guru like Marpa from Milarepa, or Atisha, or Tsongkhapa, or Lama Zopa, you know, I mean, then, and if they said something, well, whoa, then you better, you know, you follow it, you know, because they're really enlightened. Lama Yeshe for me was incredible. And I'll tell you some stories. Like, example, Lama Yeshe used to meet somebody, and I was his attendant in the first 2-3 years of Lama Yeshe's arrival and with Western students, I was attendant. I got to travel with them and many things. So it was really wonderful. I mean, he was a very blissful man. But he would, let's say, meet somebody, he'd shake their hand and say, hello, I'm Lama Yeshe, how are you? Nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And then when the person left, he would then say to me, oh, that person has this problem. That person has that problem. And I'll go like, well, how could he read a person so easily? And it's just because Lama Yeshe was unbelievably sensitive. He had that clarity that he could do that. And I can tell you that some of the people he made comments about, I can say 20 years later, they're exactly what he said. You know, one fellow, he was a great devotee. I mean, he had great faith and he got ordained and everything. And Lama Yeshe just said to him, all you want is power. All you want is power. And he would come to me and say, oh, why does Lama Yeshe criticize me? You know, I just want to practice really well, blah, blah, blah. Well, 25 years later, he set up a little Dharma center in a foreign country, and he's very dominant. And really, I mean, he's not a very good quality guru because he has power over these people. So there's a perfect example of guru yoga gone bad, both on, well, I mean, this is all bad. So anyway, when you look at your gurus, and some of them might be very, if you're close and let's say they play with you, which for example, Lama Yeshe did, could be beneficial for your personal growth. But generally speaking, the best guru for, I would say, 99% of us is a sweet, kind, loving, wise guru. We'll do very well under that person's guidance. If we have a guru who's very crazy wisdom, I don't know, it sometimes can be a little bit dangerous, for us and for our practice and for our future. I know of one Lama who was a very good Lama, very good heart. And he would say things like, oh, if it's for bodhichitta, you can do anything, for the benefit of somebody. So then I could see students who would then say, well, I can lie a little bit, or I can do this a little bit, or that, because my Lama does it. So their ethics would get diminished because they were just following that Lama's example. And so I'm not, I can't comment about it, but I can just say from my point of view, with 50 years of practice, I think it's much better. I have gurus that are with very good ethics, wonderful love, great wisdom, and profound. Those sorts of gurus will really benefit me a lot. I'll give you a story of Ling Rinpoche. I had great faith in him, and I could feel that he really had many great qualities. But he, as with any good Tibetan Lama, they don't show miraculous powers. It's considered very low to show that you have some clairvoyance or something like that. That's the sort of fun stuff, clairvoyance. I mean, what about the realization of voidness or great love and compassion for all sentient beings? But anyway, so clairvoyance seems to be the big one, like, is my guru clairvoyant about me? And so anyway, I've been a student for about 6 years, and I had great faith in him and felt he really had realizations. And then one day I was in a Bodh Gaya, and two people came, and they were an Italian and American couple. And in 1968 or so, they, under Lama Yeshe's enthusiasm, had attended a Yamantaka initiation and with Ling Rinpoche. And so there was a room of like 500 monks and nuns. And on the outside of the room by one window was Paul and Gina. Okay, this couple, they were the only Westerners there. And at that time, it was so early. There was no Westerners running around particularly. Anyway, so they took the initiation and they had the commitment to do the long sadhana of Yamantaka every day. And so time passed and they went to Kargyupa Lama, and they found that was sort of more their interest. So they had good integrity, they did good practice and stuff. But then they came to see me in 1976 or 77, I guess. And I was in Bodh Gaya. And they said, please, we'd like to see Ling Rinpoche. And I said, sure, okay, I'm a translator, I'll translate for you. So anyway, then I went up to, at 1 o'clock was when the audiences were allowed. I went up and I came in a room and did 3 prostrations, and then Rinpoche looked at me and said, well, why are you here? And I said, oh, some people want to see you. And he paused for a moment, and he hadn't seen them or anything. And he said, oh, they've broken their commitment with me. And I was sort of like, whoa, this is going to get heavy. Anyway, so I just sat there, and then they came in and did 3 prostrations and said, like, we've changed the lineages. We're more with the Kargyupa now. And so we'd like to return our commitment to you. And then Rinpoche said, no, I'm sorry, you made a promise to me, you have to keep your commitment. And they didn't like that, but they said, okay, thank you very much. And then they left. And then I went outside. I went outside and I said to them, before you even got in the room, and considering that he had not even seen you for 7 years, and you'd only been on the outside edge of an initiation, he knew you'd broken your commitment. And I think that blew them away. And I think they did sincerely start doing their Yamataka practice again. So, so I just share that looking at gurus, and it says, she, my guru, is the Buddha, it's very important to put it in a proper context. What you're seeing is they have infinite love and compassion for all sentient beings. They have realized the voidness. Their consciousness can go to clear light. Those are the things that you see, and then you're really blessing yourself. Why? Because if you believe somebody has it, even if they don't, something's happening in you. You have better ability. So that's the first thing, that actually it blesses you to believe that your guru has infinite love and compassion, has the realization of voidness. That's your blessing, because it's coming from your, you could say, projection. Okay. Second thing, though, especially because you're all Tantric students, you're not practicing Sutra, which is very good. Please, you practice Sutra. But if you're practicing Tantra, one of the big things is your central channel and opening up your chakras, okay, or particularly your tumo meditation in your abdomen. Okay, so you're all familiar with the practice. Very often, like you do your guru yoga practice, and I mean, even in our 6-session guru yoga, it's going to be there. But you bring the guru to the crown of your head. He goes inside your central channel, comes down to your heart, and sits there. Possibly in the aspect of Guru Vajradhara or Bodhichitta Muni, or Vajrayogini or Heruka, whatever might be your practice. But if you really feel that the guru has that experience, and the male or female gurus, doesn't matter, that they really have that, and then you feel that, like, really they're coming inside my central channel, and they really are opening my central channel, you have, because of faith, you have much more ability. If you sit there and say, I'm going to open my central channel, I'm going to go in my abdomen, I'm going to go in my heart chakra. Okay, when you think, okay, yes, I'm trying, I don't even know where the hell my heart chakra is, but I think it's sort of in the middle of my chest or down in my abdomen, I think it's there. I think I got some feeling, yep, okay. That's where most of us are at, isn't it? I mean, really not easy to practice. Whereas if you have faith, okay, first off, you see yourself as a deity, so your body is clear. And then, of course, that is, the blessing and inspiration of the guru. And then you say, okay, that guru is in my heart. At the time of the initiation, I became their son or daughter. That was in the very opening part of any high tantric initiation. The guru absorbed you in his mouth. He went down, went through his genitals into the genital of the consort of the particular deity. And there, then you were blessed by bodhichitta. And then you became a little deity, a little baby deity, like a little embryo. And you went back out, and you were back out in front of the eastern door, waiting to receive initiation. That was the first step of the initiation. So if you really do have a deep faith in the guru, and especially in the thing that they have opened their central channel and such, and then you sit there and you say, my guru is in my heart, my guru loves me, my guru wants me to become more enlightened, and then you try to open your heart, you really will have a lot more capacity. So that's the big blessings of Guru Yoga is that. So in the 50 verses of Guru Yoga and in many texts where it gives you lots of encouragement to see the Guru as the Buddha and not have any negative thoughts and, whatever, it just causes a huge amount of stress in you. Okay. And so the thing is that like, why do that to yourself? I mean, like, oh, I better not have a negative thought, I just saw a fart, shit, I'm gonna go to hell now. So silly, if you sit there and you think, this guy has infinite love. This girl, my female Buddha guru, has realized the voidness. You don't worry about what they're doing. You don't have any problems. You lose all of that silly mind. So I just really want to clarify that. And especially, we're very familiar now with the thing of gurus making problems. We have Sogyal Rinpoche, who made lots of boo-boos, and then even in the Shambhala tradition now, their main guru has got problems. And then, we go to the Zen tradition, and this, I forget the guy who was there, he had all sorts of, I mean, there's no end of that. And the problem is, we gave them too much power. They got intoxicated, and then the practice went bad. And so in one way, having deep feelings for your guru, believing that they have these abilities, that's beneficial to you. And again, if you're too close, you get burned. If you're too far away, it's cold. But the thing is, you try to find that middle ground and such. So anyway, that's just one thing. Secondly, someone put a little question, what if you have two gurus? Well, I think I have 34 gurus. And so each one has a little bit different flavor. It's like different food. For example, Tricha Rinpoche was bliss. He was just Mr. Bliss, and bliss and voidness. And that's how he was. Ling Rinpoche, power. If you went to see him, you felt like there's this rock of Gibraltar, like a really stable realization, clarity, and wisdom. Of course, because he was recognized as Manjushri, Yamantaka. Tricha Rinpoche is recognized with the mother tantras, Heruka and Vajrayogini. So they both appropriately manifested that type of energy. So you can have multiple gurus, maybe one or two of them are a little more meaningful for you, then good. Even Atisha said, I try to see all my gurus as enlightened, but I have to say that Sir Lingpa, who taught me bodhichitta, I really have a little bit better, stronger feelings for him. And that's Atisha. So personally, with my practice, I depends on what I need in a particular day. If I need to be a more capable and solid, it's Ling Rinpoche. If I need to be more blissful and such, it's Tricha Rinpoche. If it's about love and compassion, it's the Dalai Lama. If it's about, I don't know, some interesting mystical thing, it's Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Each one of them has a particular quality, a particular flavor. It's like food, and we feed ourselves with those foods. In this, the final comment is that for those of you that have multiple gurus, and even in different lineages, I have Sakyapa gurus, Gelupa gurus, and Nimapa gurus, and Kargyupa gurus, all 4 sects. And I even have translated and have a close friend in the Bon tradition. All I see is that they're working for enlightenment. I try not to think of it as sects, like things. And I have to say, I had a bit of trouble with the Bons. Thinking, they're not really Buddhist, but okay. But when I met this Bon Lama, it was so interesting. When he started to teach, I went, God, he's just like a Gelupa Geshe. And after it was all over, I said, well, that was very nice teaching. Thank you very much. And so where did you get your education? He said, oh, I went to Draboon Monastery, Gelupa Monastery. He says, I did all my training there, but I happened to be Bon. So I went back to my village and I'm a Bon Lama, so I do Bon practices. But that, and so then I changed my attitude. I said, no, okay. Even if they were pure Bon taught in a Bon monastery, they still have the basic precepts of Buddhism, bodhichitta and voidness. Anyway, so even if you have multiple gurus and even from different sects, you see them as that they're working for my enlightenment. That's my relationship with them. That's my relationship with them. And with that, then, you know, then you have a very good relationship. And I wanted to, the first class for today is I wanted to spend all the time on this, because all the rules that we're going to go through, I mean, all of the suggestions, you know, the Vairochana Buddha, Ratnasambhava Buddha, Amitabha Buddha, Amoga Siddhi, and then Shkobhya, the five Buddha families, all of them have advice. Well, you know, it's, you can say that you want to have the right context in thinking about those teachings. You don't want to have a misunderstanding or be uneducated. And the very nice thing for you all is that you're all well educated. I mean, all of us have at least, I think, 12 years of education, and then even some of us college, university, and things. And then so we're a well-educated audience for the, we're a well-educated audience. Whereas in Tibet, you know, if you're a monk or a nun, okay, you would be well-educated. But if you're a layperson, you might not even know how to read or write. You know, the average Tibetans, you know, they didn't have public school. So all I'm saying is that we as Westerners are well educated and have a very good capacity to attend teachings. And so therefore, it is good for us to recognize that about ourselves, that we're not, you know, we're not uneducated people. We're well educated and we can understand things, especially, for example, in the teachings of the voidness, that it's not difficult for us to understand that. You know, I mean, we have a lot of scientific background in our education. So understanding things are all impermanent, understanding that there's causes and circumstances for the creation of some situation, that all phenomena are interdependent. Or that, well, then those are easy. Then we say then they're empty of any inherent existence. Okay, that one maybe is a little bit of a step, but it doesn't take much to their thing because we're well educated. Okay, so I've talked a lot, but it's all in preparation for the teachings. So I'm going to continue. So in the text I sent you, let me pull my up here somewhere. Okay. Anyway, okay. So the first verse is verse 2, the Vajradhara, which is inseparable from the guru. It's in the thing I posted. And again, if you didn't get it, please just send me an email and I'll send you the long, it's called the Extensive Succession Guru Yoga. So the opening line is in praise and prostration to the guru, inseparable from Vajradhara. And remember that you're looking at the inner quality, that my teachers have it. They have realized, they've seen the clear light. They have great love and compassion for all sentient beings. They have all, you know, these sorts of abilities and such. Then that's the Guru Vajradhara. Okay? So then the next one is refuge. And it's so interesting that I heard someone once say that, oh, Tantra is, you know, you don't need too much of the graduated path because Tantra is, you know, it's everything. You know, it's supreme teaching. And I thought, well, that's such a sad thing to hear, because if you took all the graduated path is put into imagery in Tantra. And so all the imagery has meaning. And we recognize objects with meaning. You know, if you see you know, someone driving a very expensive car, a BMW or Mercedes, you can think, oh, they're rich or they're in debt. Okay, but you know, they're obviously have quite a bit of money because they're driving an expensive car. You see somebody driving a Nissan or something, you think, well, they're medium. And if you see somebody on a bicycle, then you think, oh, because images carry meaning for us. So when you practice Tantra, all of the objects are basically graduated path objects turned into an image which give you that message. And that's the important way to look at Tantra. So the opening line was, of course, then to, you know, Guru, inseparable from Vajradhara, I make prostration, please bless my mind. Then it moves to the second thing, which is taking refuge, which I don't have the text in front of me right now, but it's basically one of the commitments. I think it's the Vairocana, take refuge 3 times in the morning and 3 times at night. But anyway, doesn't matter. So refuge then. It's good to understand what an enlightened being is. It's the object of refuge, but to actually have some appreciation, and I'll explain why. Okay, so we have another 15 minutes. Okay, so hopefully my translator's not falling over dead. Okay, so okay, so Buddha has 4. Okay, so there's 3 aspects to a Buddha, or 3 qualities. They are all-knowing, all-loving, and all-powerful. Okay, so all-knowing, omniscient. They have an omniscient mind. All-loving, all sentient beings, even insects and animals and ghosts and whatever else you might consider, they have an equal sense of love for all of those. And then finally, they have, well, power. No, they're all powerful. But what's really important is because those 3 things that Christians say. So what's the difference? Well, all powerful means that the Buddha's mind, nothing is more powerful than the realized mind of a Buddha. So it's not like the Buddha can be, I'm going to say the victim, or be affected or stimulated by something external. That's impossible. The Buddha has perfect self-realization called self-control. That's perfect power. You know, we say in Buddhism, if the Buddha, by the definition of being all-powerful, could give us realizations, well, the Buddha has great love, he would do it, or she would do it. So obviously that's not an option because we're still in samsara. So the definition of all-powerful for a Buddhist is perfect self-control. Nothing has more power than the Buddha's own mind. Okay. So those are the 3 qualities. Then there are the 4 aspects, the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. And then the 4th one actually is called the Svabhavakaya, which means the nature body. So Dharmakaya is the Buddha's own realization of the clear light, of the voidness. It's their omniscient mind. It's their most subtle mind in realization, internally in realization. It's their personal liberation. Okay, so Dharmakaya is the liberation for the personal liberation for the Buddha. It's an omniscient mind. All Buddhas equally have it. Then in manifestation comes in the Sambhogakaya. Sambhogakaya is called the body of enjoyment. But you have to remember that if you had perfect freedom, you were completely free, why come out of it? Well, the Buddhas come out of it because of great love and compassion. So both the Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya are basically the Buddha's bodhichitta for the benefit of sentient beings. So, and then this also then includes knowing about what it means to be a Buddha, okay? If you think about a Buddha, you know, and we take Buddha Shakyamuni, it said, he practiced for 3 countless aeons, bodhicitta. For me, that's unbelievable. That's so wonderful. I mean, I'm not to say that, you know, if you gain enlightenment in 1 rebirth, it wouldn't be wonderful. But I have to say my faith to Buddha Shakyamuni is so strong because he has had so many rebirths. And in his rebirths, he was like us. He was one time married, he was one time single, sometimes he was a yogi, sometimes he was a householder, sometimes he was actually an animal, sometimes he was, you know, whatever, you know, all sorts of things. So this is important. Why? Because when you feel that the Buddha is looking at you, would you think, oh, the Buddha is judging me? Like the Buddha is looking and saying, oh, this person has problems. Ooh, this person has anger. You know, would that be the way you think the Buddha looks at you? Wrong. The Buddha has had those experiences over millions of rebirths and has love for you. He has love for himself in the sense that he worked on his anger. He understood how to sort of accept it and to work it through and to evolve and then to go beyond being angry about things. So when the Buddha touches your anger, the Buddha has empathy. I've been there. I know what it's like. I love you. I want to help you. So there's no judgment in the Buddha about us with our particular delusions. The Buddha has empathy and love for us completely. Like when you're full of desire or when you're full of anger, the Buddha said, oh, I've been there. I understand you, but hey, we'll try to help you figure that out. Because that's the empathy and the love. It's really important to think that way. It's not that the Buddha sits there and goes, ooh, you're a good one and you're a bad one. No, that's like the judgmental side, like, I guess in Christianity or something. I mean, not to pick on Christians, but, their idea sometimes is that, God sends you to hell for eternity. As one Tibetan Lama said, God's your worst enemy then. So I mean, again, I don't think that's worth to say, to Christians. Okay, I think Christianity is very good. If someone's a good Christian practitioner, they're a good person, absolutely. I mean, if somebody has faith in a religion, spirituality, they're really lucky compared to the ones that just have materiality. Anyway, coming back to the point. So that when you think of the Buddha, you say, okay, Dharmakaya. First off, relative refuge is the Buddha as the guide. Ultimate refuge is that we would become enlightened. So that's one thing about refuge, that there's relative, our process, and then when we finally finish the process, we have full refuge. We are ultimate refuge. We are enlightened being. Then the Buddha has Dharmakaya, we have Buddha nature. Our Buddha nature is synonymous with Dharmakaya, with the true nature of reality. Geshe Darge said to me, he said, the voidness, your Buddha nature, and Dharmakaya are synonyms. The only problem is that we don't perceive it. And then there's also the thing that there's one aspect of our Buddha nature which is completely pure, never had been sullied. But then there's the developmental side of our Buddha nature, which is our practice. Anyway, that's a bit of philosophy. We don't need to go there too much. But it's important to say that when you look at the Buddha, you could say his soul or his Buddha nature and my Buddha nature have a connection. We're one. So his Dharmakaya, my potential Dharmakaya are one. And then he is a relative refuge. And then so therefore he's helping me and I will become my own ultimate refuge. That's Dharmakaya. Then the Buddha manifests because of great empathy and love and compassion. The most pure form, Sambhogakaya, that is the form of pure astral form or illusory body. Only very high sensitive beings with great love and compassion perceive that. And they can get teachings on that level. So it said, I think there's 5 qualities of the Sambhogakaya body, that it's forever, because it regenerates itself with its wisdom and bodhichitta. It only teaches Mahayana. It's forever in a pure land. The only students around it are high bodhisattvas, and it has everlasting bliss. I think those are the 5 things, but that's Sambhogakaya. Then finally, Nirmanakaya is the Buddha's manifested form. So we're very, very lucky. We had Buddha Shakyamuni, and we're so lucky. He lived for 44 years or whatever, teaching. We're so lucky. He didn't just live for a little while. He gave 84,000 discourses. So having a lot of feeling about the Buddha is really good. It's part of your Dharma practice. Even though we're going to try to become a Tantric deity, that doesn't negate having an incredible feeling for the Buddha. So that's the Buddha's 3 bodies, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. But then the Svabhavakaya just says that those three bodies are of one nature. And what that just refers to is that even a hair on the Buddha's head is omniscient. Everything about the Buddha's being is omniscience and infinite love and compassion and perfect self-control. So that's the Svabhavakaya, it has all those qualities. There's more teachings on this. I don't want to go into all the details, but why do we, so in Refuge, and we're going to start just to talk first with about Refuge, that the Buddha is our inspiration. The Dharma is the teachings that he gave that help us practice. So there's also relative Dharma and ultimate Dharma. Relative Dharma is the teachings, all of the teachings that the Buddha gave. Ultimate Dharma is the realization of the cessation of suffering. It is the realization of the nature of reality, is the ultimate Dharma. But the relative one is the one that we can certainly relate to. And finally, the Sangha is a spiritual community, which is in let's say, our friends. So the best Sangha is a person with the realization. Next is then 4 monks or nuns. And then finally, just our regular Sangha in our particular community. Those are all recognized in Mahayana tradition as being Sangha. So that's Buddha Dharma Sangha. Now, the most important thing about refuge, okay, so please be attentive, that refuge is the gateway to the path. And the definition of the path in Buddhism is your stream of consciousness. That's straight out of the graduated path to enlightenment. Refuge opens the door to the path, and the path is your own stream of consciousness. Dharma, of the 3, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, Dharma is your actual refuge. Buddha is an inspiration. Sangha can help you. Whatever you practice protects you, which is the definition of refuge. Refuge is, I have taken refuge in this place. This refuge will protect me. So the real refuge is however well you practice. And there's no measurement. If you slightly control yourself from anger because you've had some Dharma teachings, you've taken refuge because you're protecting yourself, etc. So for whatever delusion, whatever you're doing. So that's where the definitions are very, very important. You know, we have great faith in the Buddha, you know, like any other religion, but ours is from inspiration. We have the teachings. They're techniques for our stream of consciousness. We have friends that support us sometimes, help us. But in all of these, the main thing is taking refuge. I go for refuge, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha from now until enlightenment. I work for the benefit of all sentient beings, etc. That in doing that prayer, you are inspired, you're recognizing what's your real protection, and you have friends. That's the doorway. And remember that it's the doorway to the path, and the path is your own stream of consciousness. In the Tibetan language, the name for being a Buddhist is called Nangpa. That means being an inner person. So Lama Yeshe used to always say that rather than being an external person, money, property, social standing is so important, a Buddhist is an inner person, inner quality, generosity, ethics, patience, joy, meditation, wisdom, the 6 perfections. Those are your inner jewels. And so anyway, in taking refuge, and that's where I wanted to get to today, which is the first of the 6 sessions of yoga things, which is part of the commitment of the Vairochana Buddha, like refuge 3 times in the morning and 3 times in the evening. So there, that sort of starts our teachings on the 6 session Guru Yoga. We're now within 1 hour, and I want to keep it at 1 hour because it's too long. I don't want to take it too long, but and I have lots of empathy for translators because I was a translator for about 30 years. And I have to say that, you know, thank you to translators because they do double work. And I mean, there's Valerie's there too. She's a translator for me, and I don't know if anybody else is there, but Raquel, of course. Okay, so I speak English. You guys hear English or you hear Spanish. Translator hears English, turns it into Spanish. Double work. So they have double good karma and they deserve double good hugs and kisses and things like that. Okay, anyway. Now, having said that, we are online and I do have the chat, so I'll open it to questions. So this concludes the teachings. I'm going to actually stop the recording now.